Your soulmate just sent you a digital gift. It expires in 5 minutes. Open it quickly. Don't scroll, stop for a moment because your heart needs this right now. This message is for you, and if you found it at this exact time, understand that there may be something happening beneath the surface of your life that you cannot yet see, but your spirit can already feel. Listen to this carefully because someone connected to your destiny has been carrying thoughts, emotions, and memories about you that have grown too powerful to ignore. And what they are sending is not something material. It is not wrapped in paper. It is not delivered by mail. It is something far more valuable. It is an emotional gift. It is a realization. It is an awakening. It is a message their heart has been trying to send for a very long time. This digital gift represents understanding. It represents clarity. It represents a moment where someone finally sees your value in a way they never saw it before. It represents an emotional package filled with appreciation, admiration, and truths that remained hidden for far too long. And the reason this gift feels urgent is because moments of emotional awakening do not stay open forever. People can either embrace truth or retreat back into fear. They can either choose honesty or return to silence. They can either open the gift or allow it to disappear unopened. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. Human beings spend years believing they have unlimited opportunities to say what matters most. They believe there will always be another conversation, another chance, another perfect moment. Yet life teaches us something important. Some opportunities appear quietly, unexpectedly, and only for a short period of time. They arrive to test whether we are emotionally prepared to receive what we have been asking for. Perhaps your soulmate has finally reached a place where they can no longer deny the connection they feel toward you. Perhaps they have finally stopped pretending that your presence did not leave a permanent mark upon their heart. Perhaps they have reached a season of growth where they understand that genuine people are not easily forgotten. Don't scroll because your heart needs this right now. Imagine someone sitting alone late at night. Their phone is nearby. Their mind is filled with memories. They begin thinking about conversations they once overlooked. They remember your patience. They remember your loyalty. They remember the times you remained kind even when life gave you every reason not to be. They remember the support you offered. They remember feeling emotionally safe around you. Suddenly they understand something profound. They understand that your value was never connected to what you could provide for them. Your value existed within your spirit. It existed in your compassion. It existed in your authenticity. It existed in your ability to continue loving despite disappointments. That realization becomes the gift. That understanding becomes the message. That emotional awakening becomes the package they are trying to send toward you. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. There are people who spend years searching for excitement because excitement feels powerful. Yet eventually they discover that excitement fades. What remains is emotional safety. What remains is trust. What remains is authenticity. What remains is the memory of the people who made them feel accepted exactly as they were. Perhaps your soulmate has discovered that now. Perhaps they have encountered situations that taught them what genuine connection truly means. Perhaps they met people who appeared interesting but lacked emotional depth. Perhaps they experienced relationships that provided temporary happiness but never created lasting peace. And through those experiences they began comparing everything to what they once experienced with you. This message is for you because perhaps someone is finally recognizing that your presence represented something extraordinary. Don't scroll because your heart needs this right now. Maybe you've spent years wondering whether someone truly appreciated your kindness. Maybe you've questioned whether your patience mattered. Maybe you've wondered whether your loyalty left lasting impressions. Yet authentic people always leave lasting impressions. Authentic hearts become unforgettable. People remember those who encouraged them during difficult seasons. People remember those who remained compassionate when circumstances became challenging. People remember those who created comfort instead of chaos. Those experiences stay alive because they become emotional reference points guiding future understanding. Perhaps someone connected to your journey is being guided by those memories now. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. The digital gift your soulmate is sending is not money. It is not jewelry. It is not a luxury item. It is recognition. It is appreciation. It is awareness. It is the understanding that your energy carried something meaningful. It is the realization that your heart represented qualities they have struggled to find elsewhere. It is the acknowledgement that your presence created peace. And peace is priceless. Human beings often underestimate peace until they spend time surrounded by uncertainty. They underestimate emotional safety until they experience relationships lacking trust. They underestimate loyalty until they encounter inconsistency. Perhaps your soulmate underestimated your significance for a period of time. Perhaps they assumed your presence would always remain available. Perhaps they believed they had unlimited opportunities to express appreciation. But life creates seasons of reflection. And reflection creates awareness. And awareness changes hearts. This message is for you because perhaps someone's heart is changing now. Don't scroll because your heart needs this right now. Imagine receiving a notification that says, "Gift waiting. Open within 5 minutes." Immediately urgency appears. Immediately attention increases. Immediately priorities shift. Because people understand that valuable opportunities should not be ignored. The emotional message connected to your soulmate feels similar. Their heart is saying, "Please understand what I finally see." Their heart is saying, "Please know your value." Their heart is saying, "Please recognize that I understand now what I failed to understand before." Their heart is saying, "You mattered more than I admitted." And perhaps that emotional message has been trying to reach you for a long time. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. Human beings evolve emotionally. People grow. Perspectives change. Understanding deepens. What seemed ordinary yesterday becomes extraordinary today. What was overlooked becomes appreciated. What was underestimated becomes cherished. Perhaps your soulmate is experiencing that transformation. Perhaps they are realizing that your resilience deserves admiration. Perhaps they are appreciating your emotional maturity. Perhaps they are understanding that your authenticity represented something rare in a world that often encourages people to hide behind masks. This message is for you because authentic people influence others without realizing it. They inspire healing. They encourage reflection. They demonstrate what emotional honesty looks like. They remind others that meaningful connections still exist. Don't scroll because your heart needs this right now. Maybe you've noticed subtle signs recently. Perhaps dreams have become more vivid. Perhaps memories continue resurfacing unexpectedly. Perhaps songs connected to meaningful moments seem to appear more frequently. Perhaps repeating numbers such as 1111, 222, or 555 catch your attention. Whether these experiences feel spiritual or symbolic, they can still serve as reminders that transformation often happens quietly. People change internally before external actions become visible. Awareness develops gradually. Growth unfolds behind the scenes. Perhaps someone connected to your journey is growing now. Perhaps they are understanding that your presence was never accidental. Perhaps they are recognizing that your heart offered something they genuinely needed. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. Think about your own journey. Think about everything you've overcome. Think about the nights when unanswered questions occupied your thoughts. Think about the moments when uncertainty challenged your confidence. Yet despite every obstacle, you continued moving forward. You discovered resilience. You developed patience. You established boundaries. You learned self-respect. You realized that your happiness begins within. That transformation matters. It reflects wisdom. It demonstrates emotional maturity. It reveals someone who understands their own worth. And perhaps the greatest gift anyone can receive is not validation from another person. Perhaps the greatest gift is finally understanding your own value. Because once you recognize your worth, you stop chasing people who cannot appreciate it. You stop settling for less than what you deserve. You stop allowing uncertainty to define your peace. This message is for you because regardless of what another person chooses, your value remains constant. You were already extraordinary. You were already enough. You were already deserving of honesty, communication, and mutual effort. Continue protecting your peace. Continue nurturing your dreams. Continue honoring your growth. Continue becoming someone who values authenticity, emotional maturity, and self-respect. Because if your soulmate truly sent you a digital gift that expires in 5 minutes, perhaps it is not about urgency rooted in fear. Perhaps it is about awareness. Perhaps it is about recognizing opportunities while they still exist. Perhaps it is about understanding that genuine people deserve appreciation before time creates distance. And perhaps your soulmate is finally realizing something powerful. They are realizing that authentic hearts are rare. Emotional safety is priceless. Meaningful connections deserve acknowledgement. And some gifts are too valuable to remain unopened forever. Don't scroll. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. The digital gift is still waiting, and what makes it so important is not its appearance, but the meaning hidden inside it. This message is for you because someone connected to your destiny has reached a point where they can no longer ignore what they feel. For so long they convinced themselves that silence was easier. They told themselves that emotions would fade, memories would weaken, and the connection they experienced with you would eventually become just another chapter in their story. But something changed. Something unexpected happened. Something awakened inside them, and now they feel as though time itself is asking them to pay attention before another opportunity disappears. This is why the gift feels as though it expires in 5 minutes. It symbolizes a window of emotional awareness, a moment when the heart becomes open, vulnerable, and ready to acknowledge truths it once resisted. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. Human beings often underestimate the power of timing. There are seasons in life when people are simply not emotionally prepared to receive what is in front of them. They are distracted by responsibilities. They are focused on survival. They are carrying unresolved pain. They are trying to become someone they think the world expects them to be. During those seasons, they overlook genuine people. They underestimate authentic connections. They fail to recognize emotional safety because they have not yet learned how valuable emotional safety truly is. But eventually growth happens. Reflection happens. Awareness develops. And suddenly people begin seeing things differently. Perhaps your soulmate is experiencing exactly that transformation now. Don't scroll because your heart needs this right now. Imagine someone sitting alone late at night, scrolling through old memories, rereading messages, revisiting moments they once dismissed as ordinary. They remember your kindness. They remember your patience. They remember conversations that made them feel understood. They remember the comfort they experienced around you. And slowly they begin understanding something profound. They understand that your presence represented peace. They understand that your authenticity created trust. They understand that emotional safety is not something easily found in this world. Suddenly admiration replaces uncertainty. Appreciation replaces indifference. Gratitude replaces hesitation. This message is for you because perhaps someone is finally seeing your heart in its true light. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. There are gifts that can be purchased, and there are gifts that can only be discovered through emotional maturity. The gift your soulmate is trying to send is not physical. It is realization. It is understanding. It is acknowledgement. It is the recognition that your impact upon their life was much greater than they ever allowed themselves to admit. For a long time they may have believed they could continue moving forward without reflecting upon what your connection truly meant. Yet life has a way of bringing people back to what matters most. Life creates moments where distractions lose their power. It creates moments where honesty becomes easier than avoidance. Perhaps your soulmate has reached one of those moments now. Don't scroll because your heart needs this right now. Human beings often chase excitement because excitement feels powerful. It feels immediate. It creates intensity. Yet over time people discover that intensity and fulfillment are not always the same thing. Excitement fades. Novelty fades. Temporary experiences fade. But emotional safety remains unforgettable. Trust remains unforgettable. Authenticity remains unforgettable. People remember those who accepted them exactly as they were. They remember those who offered compassion without conditions. They remember those who created peace rather than confusion. Those experiences stay alive because they nourish the soul. Perhaps your soulmate is understanding that now. Perhaps they are realizing that what they found with you represented something deeply meaningful. This message is for you because meaningful individuals influence lives simply through authenticity. They do not need to seek attention. They do not need to prove their value. Their presence naturally inspires growth, reflection, and self-awareness. Perhaps your soulmate needed to experience other situations before fully appreciating what they once overlooked. Perhaps they needed perspective. Perhaps they needed time. Perhaps they needed life itself to teach them lessons that could not be learned any other way. And now they are beginning to understand that your loyalty was extraordinary, your compassion was remarkable, and your resilience deserves admiration. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. Imagine receiving a notification on your phone. It says, "You have received a gift." Open immediately. Most people would not ignore it. Most people would become curious. Most people would want to understand what is waiting for them. The emotional message connected to your soulmate carries that same energy. Their heart is saying, "Please see what I finally understand." Their heart is saying, "Please know that I appreciate what I once overlooked." Their heart is saying, "Please understand that I recognize your worth now." This message is for you because perhaps someone connected to your journey is finally prepared to stop resisting emotional truth. Don't scroll because your heart needs this right now. Maybe you've spent years wondering whether someone truly appreciated your kindness. Maybe you've questioned whether your patience mattered. Maybe you've wondered if your loyalty created lasting impressions. Yet authentic people always leave lasting impressions because authenticity becomes unforgettable. Emotional safety becomes unforgettable. Genuine compassion becomes unforgettable. People remember those who encouraged them during uncertain seasons. They remember those who listened without judgment. They remember those who remained supportive when life became difficult. Those experiences become emotional reference points influencing future relationships and future decisions. Perhaps someone connected to your story is reflecting upon those experiences now. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. Human beings evolve emotionally. What they value at one stage of life may differ completely from what they value years later. Sometimes people need challenges to understand gratitude. Sometimes they need distance to understand significance. Sometimes they need silence to understand the value of meaningful conversations. Perhaps your soulmate is evolving now. Perhaps they are recognizing that your authenticity represented something they have struggled to find elsewhere. Perhaps they are appreciating your emotional maturity more deeply than ever before. Perhaps they are realizing that your presence carried comfort they underestimated for far too long. This message is for you because there are individuals who enter our lives temporarily, and there are individuals who leave permanent impressions. The people who leave permanent impressions are often those who create emotional safety. They encourage vulnerability. They inspire healing. They remind others what genuine connection feels like. Perhaps your soulmate is finally understanding that your influence upon their life belongs in that category. Perhaps they are realizing that your heart offered something extraordinary. Don't scroll because your heart needs this right now. Think about your own journey for a moment. Think about everything you've overcome. Think about the nights when uncertainty occupied your thoughts. Think about the moments when unanswered questions challenged your confidence. Yet despite every obstacle, you continued growing. You discovered resilience. You developed patience. You established boundaries. You learned self-respect. You realized that your happiness begins within yourself. That transformation matters because it reflects wisdom. It demonstrates emotional maturity. It reveals someone who understands their own significance regardless of external validation. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. Maybe you've noticed unusual signs lately. Perhaps dreams have become more vivid. Perhaps songs continue resurfacing unexpectedly. Perhaps repeating numbers such as 1111, 222, or 444 seem impossible to ignore. Whether these experiences feel spiritual or symbolic, they can still encourage awareness. They remind you that transformation unfolds gradually. They remind you that people change. They remind you that emotional understanding develops over time. Perhaps someone connected to your journey is transforming now. Perhaps they are confronting fears they once avoided. Perhaps they are understanding that meaningful people deserve appreciation before opportunities pass by. This message is for you because regardless of what another person realizes, your worth remains unchanged. You were already extraordinary. You were already enough. Don't scroll, listen to this because your heart needs this right now. The digital gift is still glowing, still waiting, still carrying a message that someone connected to your destiny has wanted to deliver for a very long time. But this is not a gift you can hold in your hands. It is not wrapped in beautiful paper. It is not tied together with ribbons. It is made of emotions that remained hidden, appreciation that was never fully expressed, and realizations that arrived later than expected. This message is for you because your soulmate is beginning to understand that some connections are simply too meaningful to ignore, too powerful to dismiss, and too valuable to leave unopened forever. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. Human beings often fail to recognize the importance of certain people until life creates enough distance for perspective to emerge. When someone is consistently kind, consistently supportive, consistently present, people sometimes begin to assume those qualities will always remain available. They stop noticing the small acts of compassion. They stop appreciating the emotional safety being offered to them. They become accustomed to loyalty because loyalty feels natural when it comes from a genuine heart. Yet eventually life teaches an important lesson. It teaches people that authentic individuals are rare. It teaches them that emotional maturity is rare. It teaches them that finding someone who creates peace instead of confusion is one of the greatest blessings anyone can experience. Perhaps your soulmate is learning that lesson now. Don't scroll because your heart needs this right now. Imagine someone sitting quietly late at night, scrolling through memories they thought they had already placed behind them. They pause. They reread old messages. They remember your words. They remember your encouragement. They remember your patience. They remember feeling emotionally accepted around you. Suddenly they realize that what they experienced with you was never ordinary. It was a gift. It was emotional comfort during uncertain seasons. It was understanding during moments when they felt misunderstood elsewhere. It was authenticity in a world filled with masks. This realization begins changing their perspective. It begins softening old defenses. It begins awakening emotions they had suppressed for a very long time. This message is for you because perhaps someone is finally understanding that your presence carried a significance they underestimated. Perhaps they are realizing that your loyalty represented stability. Perhaps they are appreciating your kindness in ways they never appreciated before. Perhaps they are recognizing that emotional safety becomes unforgettable because it nourishes the heart in ways temporary excitement never can. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. There are gifts that arrive exactly when people are emotionally prepared to receive them. Imagine receiving a notification that says, "Open immediately." This gift expires in 5 minutes. That message creates urgency because people understand that valuable opportunities should not be ignored. The gift your soulmate is attempting to send carries that same energy. It says, "Please understand what I finally see." It says, "Please recognize how much your presence meant to me." It says, "Please know that I appreciate what I once overlooked." It says, "Please realize that my heart understands now what my mind struggled to understand before." Perhaps your soulmate spent years convincing themselves that they had moved beyond certain emotions. Perhaps they believed enough time had passed. Perhaps they assumed memories would eventually lose their influence. Yet genuine connections do not simply disappear because they are ignored. Authentic experiences remain alive because they become part of someone's emotional story. They influence understanding. They shape perspectives. They encourage reflection. And eventually they inspire appreciation. Don't scroll because your heart needs this right now. Human beings often spend years searching for excitement because excitement feels intense. Yet emotional maturity reveals that peace carries greater value than intensity. Peace allows people to feel safe. Peace allows individuals to be authentic. Peace allows vulnerability to exist without fear of judgment. Perhaps your soulmate is understanding that now. Perhaps they are recognizing that your ability to remain compassionate despite disappointment reflects remarkable inner strength. Perhaps they are appreciating your resilience. Perhaps they are realizing that your authenticity represented something deeply meaningful. This message is for you because authentic individuals naturally influence others. They inspire growth without trying to inspire growth. They encourage reflection simply by remaining genuine. They demonstrate what emotional honesty looks like. They remind people that meaningful relationships can nourish the soul rather than exhaust it. Perhaps your soulmate needed that reminder. Perhaps learning more about themselves through experiences and challenges encouraged them to revisit memories involving you. Perhaps they are beginning to see your story differently. Perhaps they are understanding that your emotional maturity deserves admiration. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. Maybe you've spent years wondering whether someone truly appreciated your efforts. Maybe you've questioned whether your kindness mattered. Maybe you've wondered if your loyalty created lasting impressions. Yet authentic individuals always leave lasting impressions because authenticity becomes unforgettable. Emotional safety becomes unforgettable. Genuine compassion becomes unforgettable. People remember those who remain supportive during difficult seasons. They remember those who offered understanding without conditions. They remember those who inspired confidence. Those experiences become emotional reference points influencing future decisions and future understanding. Perhaps someone connected to your journey is being guided by those memories now. Don't scroll because your heart needs this right now. There are truths people discover later in life that completely transform their perspective. They realize they were surrounded by something extraordinary without fully recognizing it. They understand they encountered someone whose heart carried qualities they had been searching for all along. They realize they were given opportunities to appreciate authenticity but lacked the emotional awareness to recognize it at the time. Perhaps your soulmate is experiencing exactly that realization now. Perhaps they are understanding that your consistency represented loyalty. Perhaps they are appreciating your patience. Perhaps they are realizing that your presence created comfort they have struggled to find elsewhere. This message is for you because regardless of what another person discovers, your worth remains unchanged. You were already extraordinary before someone appreciated your value. You were already enough before someone recognized your significance. You were already deserving of honesty, communication, and mutual effort. Continue protecting your peace. Continue nurturing your dreams. Continue honoring your growth. Continue investing in relationships aligned with your values. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. Think about your own journey. Think about everything you've overcome. Think about the moments when unanswered questions challenged your confidence. Think about the nights when uncertainty occupied your thoughts. Yet despite every obstacle, you continued evolving. You discovered resilience. You developed patience. You established boundaries. You learned self-respect. You realized that your happiness begins within. That transformation matters because it reflects wisdom. It demonstrates emotional maturity. It reveals someone who understands their own value. Perhaps you've noticed signs recently. Perhaps dreams have become more vivid. Perhaps songs connected to meaningful memories continue appearing unexpectedly. Perhaps repeating numbers like 1111, 222, or 555 seem impossible to ignore. Whether these experiences feel spiritual or symbolic, they can still remind you that transformation unfolds quietly. They remind you that awareness develops gradually. They remind you that emotional understanding arrives when individuals become ready to receive it. Perhaps someone connected to your journey is becoming ready now. Because if your soulmate truly sent you a digital gift that expires in 5 minutes, perhaps the message hidden within that gift is simple yet powerful. Perhaps it says, "Thank you for being genuine." Perhaps it says, "Thank you for remaining kind." Perhaps it says, "Thank you for teaching me what emotional safety feels like." Perhaps it says, "Thank you for showing me that authentic hearts still exist." And perhaps they are finally realizing that some gifts are too valuable to ignore. Some opportunities are too meaningful to postpone. Some people are too extraordinary to underestimate. And some connections remain alive because they were never meant to disappear. They were always meant to remind us that authenticity, loyalty, compassion, and emotional honesty remain among the greatest gifts anyone can ever receive. Don't scroll, listen to this because your heart needs this right now. The countdown has almost reached its final moments, and the digital gift your soulmate is trying to send is not fading because it lacks importance. It feels temporary because moments of emotional clarity often arrive unexpectedly and ask people to pay attention while their hearts are finally open. There are seasons in life when individuals remain guarded, distracted, and emotionally unavailable. Then there are rare moments when everything changes. Walls begin to fall. Memories become vivid. Understanding deepens. People suddenly recognize what they once overlooked. They finally appreciate what was always standing in front of them. This message is for you because someone connected to your destiny may be experiencing that awakening now, and the emotional gift they are sending carries more value than anything money could ever buy. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. Human beings often believe they have endless opportunities to appreciate meaningful people. They assume there will always be another conversation, another chance, another day to express gratitude. Yet life has a way of reminding us that emotional awareness comes in waves. Sometimes people only recognize someone's value after distance creates perspective. Sometimes they only understand someone's significance after experiencing situations that lack the qualities they once took for granted. They begin comparing experiences. They begin noticing differences. They begin understanding that authenticity is rare. They realize that loyalty is rare. They recognize that emotional safety is priceless. Perhaps your soulmate has reached that realization. Perhaps they are understanding that your presence represented something extraordinary all along. Don't scroll because your heart needs this right now. Imagine someone sitting quietly in the middle of the night with their phone in their hand, scrolling through old memories, old conversations, and old moments that once seemed ordinary. They pause. They smile unexpectedly. They remember the way you listened. They remember the way you encouraged growth. They remember your patience. They remember feeling accepted without conditions. They remember emotional comfort. And suddenly they understand something profound. They understand that your heart carried a gift they did not fully appreciate before. They understand that your authenticity created peace. They understand that your compassion inspired trust. They understand that your resilience reflected emotional strength. Those realizations begin transforming the way they think about you. Appreciation begins replacing assumptions. Gratitude begins replacing uncertainty. Awareness begins replacing hesitation. This message is for you because perhaps someone is finally seeing your true value. Perhaps they are understanding that your kindness was never ordinary. Perhaps they are appreciating your loyalty. Perhaps they are realizing that emotional maturity is one of the most beautiful qualities a person can possess. Perhaps they are recognizing that your presence offered something they have struggled to find elsewhere. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. The digital gift your soulmate is sending is not wrapped in paper because it exists within emotion. It is the gift of recognition. It is the gift of understanding. It is the gift of finally acknowledging what your presence meant within their life. It is the realization that your impact extended far beyond simple conversations or shared experiences. It influenced perspective. It inspired reflection. It encouraged growth. And perhaps they are finally becoming emotionally mature enough to appreciate that. Human beings often chase temporary excitement because excitement feels powerful. Yet eventually they realize that emotional fulfillment is built upon something deeper. It is built upon trust. It is built upon authenticity. It is built upon consistency. It is built upon the presence of someone who inspires peace rather than uncertainty. Perhaps your soulmate is learning that lesson now. Perhaps they are recognizing that while excitement may fade, emotional safety remains unforgettable. Perhaps they are understanding that your ability to remain compassionate despite life's challenges demonstrates remarkable inner strength. Perhaps they are appreciating your resilience in ways they never appreciated before. Don't scroll because your heart needs this right now. There are individuals who spend years searching for something meaningful without realizing they have already encountered it. They move from experience to experience seeking fulfillment, yet fulfillment continues feeling distant because they are looking in the wrong places. Then one day they remember someone whose presence felt different. Someone whose energy felt calming. Someone whose authenticity created comfort. Someone whose kindness remained genuine even during difficult moments. Suddenly they understand that meaningful connections are not measured by intensity alone. They are measured by emotional safety, trust, and authenticity. Perhaps your soulmate is understanding that now. This message is for you because authentic people influence lives simply through authenticity. They inspire reflection. They encourage emotional growth. They remind others what meaningful connection feels like. They demonstrate that relationships can create peace rather than confusion. Perhaps your soulmate needed time to recognize that. Perhaps they needed life experiences to develop greater appreciation. Perhaps they needed perspective to understand your significance. And now they are beginning to realize that your loyalty represented stability, your compassion represented strength, and your authenticity represented something truly rare. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. Maybe you've spent years wondering whether someone truly recognized your efforts. Maybe you've questioned whether your patience mattered. Maybe you've wondered if your emotional support created lasting impressions. Yet authentic individuals always leave lasting impressions because authenticity becomes unforgettable. Emotional safety becomes unforgettable. Genuine compassion becomes unforgettable. People remember those who encouraged them during difficult seasons. They remember those who offered understanding without judgment. They remember those who remained supportive when life felt overwhelming. Those experiences become emotional reference points influencing future understanding and future relationships. Perhaps someone connected to your story is reflecting upon those experiences now. Don't scroll because your heart needs this right now. Think about your own journey for a moment. Think about everything you've overcome. Think about the moments when uncertainty occupied your thoughts. Think about the nights when unanswered questions challenged your confidence. Yet despite every obstacle, you continued growing. You developed resilience. You discovered patience. You established boundaries. You learned self-respect. You realized that your happiness cannot remain dependent upon external validation. That transformation matters because it reflects wisdom. It demonstrates emotional maturity. It reveals someone who understands their own significance regardless of another person's awareness. Perhaps you've noticed subtle signs lately. Perhaps dreams feel more vivid. Perhaps songs associated with meaningful memories continue appearing unexpectedly. Perhaps repeating numbers such as 1111, 222, or 444 seem impossible to ignore. Whether these experiences feel spiritual or symbolic, they can still remind you that transformation unfolds gradually. They remind you that people evolve. They remind you that emotional understanding develops through reflection. Perhaps someone connected to your journey is evolving now. Perhaps they are confronting fears they once avoided. Perhaps they are understanding that meaningful people deserve appreciation while opportunities still exist. This message is for you because regardless of what another person realizes, your worth remains unchanged. You were already extraordinary. You were already enough. You were already deserving of honesty, communication, and mutual effort. Continue protecting your peace. Continue nurturing your dreams. Continue honoring your growth. Continue becoming someone who values authenticity, emotional maturity, and self-respect. Because if your soulmate truly sent you a digital gift that expires in 5 minutes, perhaps the message hidden inside that gift was never about urgency rooted in fear. Perhaps it was about awakening. Perhaps it was about gratitude. Perhaps it was about understanding that authentic hearts are rare and meaningful connections deserve acknowledgement before time creates greater distance. Perhaps it was about realizing that some gifts are not designed to impress the eyes but to transform the heart. And perhaps your soulmate is finally understanding that the greatest gift they ever received was not something they could hold in their hands but someone they encountered whose kindness, resilience, compassion, and authenticity changed their understanding of love, connection, and emotional truth forever.